Om Satchidananda Rupaya Vishvotpatyadi Hetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Numaha. Janmadyasya yatonvayaditaratascharateshvabhignaswarat Tene brahmarhadaya adikavaye muhyanti yatsurayaha Tejo vari mridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha Dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam Satyam param dhimahi Dharma projita ketavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam Vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam tapatrayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamunikrite Kim va parerishvaraha Sadyo hridyavarudyate trakritibihi Shushrushuvistat kshanat. Invoke toughness, evoke hope. Hari Om, and greetings from Niagara Falls. Why was Bhagavan Krishna born in bondage? He was born in prison with his parents locked up. He did this to release us from our metaphysical bondage. We are not physically bound. Our bondage is much more serious, is metaphysical. Our dependency on outside factors for joy. Why was Bhagavan Krishna living amongst those who are ordinary? Calves, cows, gopis, gopas. So that we can relate to him and how he lived extraordinarily in an ordinary circumstance. To lift us up with every thought and word and action. The more one inquires into Bhagavan Krishna's birth and life, and sadly, we'll project this into the future, his unmanifestation, the more we inquire into this, the more differences we feel. You, I, rich, poor, etc. Those differences become less relevant, and what you start to feel is more divine. If one doesn't inquire into the life of Bhagavan Krishna, this is just a katha. We all know, having been together for more than 75 classes, this is not just his katha, this is our katha. Our story, our past, our future. When Bhagavan saw that his foster family was preparing so much for a ritual, he asked them why. He never let the people around him live in a meaningless way. And their why was Indra, Now, the Vedanta of this dialogue, this change, whatever we don't understand, we fear. Whatever we don't understand, we fear. As an example, Vyasa was telling me yesterday that he's afraid of wolves and dragons. Now, I keep trying to tell him there's a good chance you're never going to see a wolf in your life. And I know you're not going to see a dragon, but he doesn't understand that. So he's afraid of it. Are any of you afraid of a wolf coming into your home right now? Whatever we don't understand, we fear. We don't understand a lot of the practices we engage in, puja, japa, etc. We have this habit, subtly, to do this out of fear. That if I don't do this, this is going to happen. This is not the nature of Sanatana Dharma. We do not live in and follow a fear-based religion. You have to know what you're doing to be changed. If you don't know why you do puja japa, you will not be transformed. Think of Karna. Karna's whole life, he didn't know that he was a Pandava. And he struggled. Think of Dushyanta. He's married to this divine woman, Shakuntala, has a divine son, Bharata, but doesn't know it. And only when Karna knew he was a Pandava, he felt some relief. When Dushyanta knew this is his wife and child, how happy he was. Mind your own mind. Minding your own mind is one engaging in their dharma, their responsibilities. This is much more meaningful than minding Indra. Karma or dharma is ever with you, Indra is not. And what's lovely about Bhagavan Krishna's foster family, they didn't reject this. They were open to him. They accepted this. Who didn't? Indra. And Bhagavan Krishna has to teach Indra and teaches him position is for peace, not for praise. Indra has this special position. He is the controller of weather. And instead of using position to be peaceful, right? The fourth P is peace. The third P is position. Instead of going higher, he's just moving sideways to demand praise. For us to think of the same. Many of us are in positions of power. What are you doing with that power? Are you moving up or sideways? Bhagwan Giridhara. Please note how I'm saying it in the spelling. Giri means mountain, Dhara, the one who holds. He held up this mountain to show Indra. Indra's power depends on Bhagavan Krishna too. Now we've flowed through many asuras and suras. What did Bhagavan do to the asuras? Destroyed them. Putana, Dhenuka, etc. What did he do to the suras? Bhagavan Brahma, Indra? He corrected them. Bhagavan Brahma, Agni Deva, Indrasura, they all symbolize virtues to an extent. Like Bhagavan Brahma is the icon of the intellect. What happens though is we sometimes become arrogant about our virtues. And that's why Bhagavan Krishna never destroyed them. You don't destroy vices, but you have to refine those vices with more and more and more humility. In Meaningful Mornings, we had studied Humility is beauty. We also came to appreciate Bhagwan's name as Govinda. Govinda means da, the one who gives. Vin, gain, now I'm defining it as purpose. And go, the senses. So Govinda is the one who gives purpose to our senses. And you will see that, you will feel that a lot as we flow through the next 5 chapters over 4 weeks. We are now entering the Rasa Panchadhyayihi, which, opening this up, Rasa Pancha Adhyayaha, the 5 chapters that focus on joy, enlightenment. We've all learned the 10th skanda is the heart of Srimad Bhagavatam. And within the heart, these 5 chapters are the breath. And when we get to this, which will be in 3 weeks, within the breath, the Rasa Lila is the foremost breath. So we keep building up. We're in the 10th skanda, the 29th adhyaya. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 5 chapters. 15th shloka, 10, 29, 15. Rishi Shuka is answering Raja Parikshita's question. And today's class will only be Katha. And next week's class will only be Vedanta, because I don't want to break up this Katha in any way. Enjoy. Kamam krodam bhayam sneham aikyam sauhridam evacha nityam harau vidatataha yanti tanmayatam hite. Rishi Shuka tells Raja Parikshita, Kama, Krodha, Bhaya, Sneha. Different emotions like desire and anger. Aikyam sauhridam evacha. Any of these emotions makes one single-pointed or focused. On who? Nityam harau vidadataha. Focused on Hari, on Bhagwan. Yanti tanmayatam hite. And what does he gives? He gives himself. This single pointedness, one becomes what they're thinking about, which is Bhagwan. Some context. We went through a portion of Bhagavatam where Bhagwan Krishna is sharing insights into the summer season. Do you remember we went through nature? And then we entered the autumn season. And Bhagwan learned from that too. Now we are in the middle portion of autumn. Now in North America, the middle portion of autumn is cold. In Bharat, the middle portion of autumn is most pleasant. As I was reading this, I was thinking about my time in Mumbai in the middle of autumn and how the weather was perfect. And when the weather is perfect, what do you want to do? Be outside. So what did Bhagwan do? He left that village and he went near the Yamuna and he started to play his flute. And once he started playing, the gopis, they heard these notes and they became restless. Whatever they were doing, they were unable to focus on this. So they stopped doing what they were doing. If they were cooking, they stopped. If they were cleaning, they stopped. And they just got themselves ready to follow those notes to go to Bhagavan. Their minds were so absorbed in thinking about him that they were getting ready in the wrong way. They were putting their bindi down here. They were trying to put their bangles on their ankles. Just complete disorder, like us all the time in the mornings, right? T-shirt is inside out, pants are backwards, etc. I ask you if you did your raw, you quickly go through your notes. But we do that, again, out of sleepiness. They did this because they didn't care. Now, some of these gopis, the people in their homes stopped them. A parent, a husband, physically did not allow them to go. And these gopis are great. They never kicked and punched. They simply contemplated. And they contemplated and contemplated and contemplated until samadhi, which means they freed themselves of any sort of bondage. Leave alone that home, their bodies passed away too. It was their mahasamadhi. This question that Raja Parikshita asks, he's asking, didn't the gopis do that which is wrong? Shouldn't they have been cooking, cleaning? How come they were resisting their family members who were stopping them? And Rishi Shuka shares, I've already answered this question in the 7th skanda. And I know you all remember the question and remember the answer. At that time, Rishi Shuka's, Raja Parikshita's question was about Shishupala. Shishupala hates Bhagavan Krishna, yet he's enlightened. And at that time, Rishi Shuka said, it doesn't matter what emotion you have towards God, as long as you are absorbed in her or him. So it seems like Raja Parikshita is not paying attention. Why he asked this question is not because he's not paying attention. He knows we're not paying attention. That the question comes again to remind us that these gopis have not engaged in any wrongdoing. What they're doing is right. When these gopis finally arrive near the Yamuna, Bhagavan Krishna says to them, what can I do for you? You all wanted to see me. Now you've seen me. Now go home. He says, all of you are being irresponsible. You're supposed to be cooking, cleaning. What will your family think about you and me? So go home. And that's where one portion ends. Now, from shlokas 31 to 41, please try to keep track of these chapters and these verses so you can keep studying them. 31 to 41, this is another Gita. All of Bhagavad Gita, all of Srimad Bhagavatam is contemplation worthy. But some of us who are distracted, we need to be told to focus on this. Like when I walk down the stairs with Shuka, I keep having to tell him, focus, because he wants to play and he wants to jump. So now he just looks at me and says, focus. He doesn't even know what that word means, but he says it. We've studied Venu Gita. Do you remember that? Where the gopis are speaking to each other about how jealous they are of that Venu. 31 to 41 is known as Pranaya Gita. Pranaya in English means supplication. Supplication. They're trying to negotiate with Bhagavan Krishna about why they should not leave. They work so hard to be there. They want to be there, but Bhagavan is sending them away. Pranaya Gita. Here are some of the insights from Pranaya Gita. These gopis share, you have taught us that you are our closest relative, as in Bhagavan is. So we're acting on that. And now you're sending us away. These gopis, I told you, they're not justifying. They are masterly. They were taught Bhagavan is their closest relative. They are acting on it. They share, the dearest pursuit is one of joy, and we know you are joy. So we're only following the Purusharthas. This is the fourth Purushartha. That's what we're doing. They share, we have nurtured this, understanding this bhava for a long time. Bhagavan Krishna is 7 years old now, at least 7 years, in an undistracted way. Don't ask us to leave. We're only following what you have taught us, how you have lived. And Bhagavan Krishna was most happy by their response. From verses 42 to 48 is a pre-Rasa Leela. This is the preview to the movie. 42 to 48. I'm still in chapter 29. And here details are shared about how Bhagavan Krishna engaged these gopis. There are more than 100 gopis that are there right now. One Bhagavan Krishna, more than 100 gopis. It's like this class, we have more than 100 gopis in this class too. What did Bhagavan do? He kept on looking at them. And you have to visualize someone that you love who keeps looking at you. And they know the way you want them to look at you, and they look at you in that way. He's smiling at all of these gopis. And next week I'll share more with you about there was not even a trace of jealousy amongst these gopis. They all felt like Bhagavan was only looking at them, only smiling at them, and Bhagavan started leading them. He slowly walked on the sandbanks into the jungle, and this troop of 100 gopis were just following his footsteps. And slowly, as they got into the depth of that jungle, he started hugging them, hugging their shoulders, hugging their lower backs, caressing them, caressing their hair, caressing their thighs. He started laughing with them. They started laughing. These gopis felt the best. And what had happened is they felt they were the best. And as soon as Bhagavan sensed that they felt that they were the best, the luckiest gopis, all of a sudden Dvaita kicked in, correct? Best is a term in reference to another. So what did Bhagavan do? Disappeared. Gone. So now all of these 100 gopis are in this jungle in the middle of the night, and Bhagavan's not there. What happens next? We move on to the next chapter. 10th skanda, 30th adhyaya, 28th shloka. 10, 30, 28. Make sure you write this verse down, because in this verse, a important figure who is unnamed is highlighted, and that is Radha. Her name is not in Srimad Bhagavatam. Not. She is only inferred. And I'm reading that verse out to you right now. Anayaradhito nuna Bhagavan Haririshwaraha Yanno Vihaya Govindaha Prito Yamana Yadraha. Anaya Araditaha. As these gopis were trying to find Bhagavan Krishna, they inferred that there was another gopi who Araditaha, loved him more. So this word Radha is really Aradha or Aradhana, which means to love. Who did they love, or who did she love? Bhagavan Hari, who is Ishvara. She must have known that this is the Bhagavan. Yanno Vihaya Govindaha, and that's why Bhagavan left with her by himself. Prito Yamana Yadrahaha, and he made her feel special. Okay? When Bhagavan Krishna disappeared, what happened? As I share these details with you, for those who are reacting to what I'm saying, you may feel that these gopis are delusional. But I ask you to be open and to really feel, who's delusional? Are they delusional, or are we delusional in how we think and feel? The gopis were completely absorbed in Bhagavan Krishna, so they started assuming that they are Bhagavan Krishna. They started assuming his attitude, his movements. They started saying, I am Krishna, you are Krishna, we are Krishna. They wandered around and they were asking the jungle if they've seen Bhagavan. They were asking each type of tree. There's a huge section of all of the different trees that are named. Asking the rocks, asking the grass, have you seen our Krishna? Where is our Krishna? Did he come this way? They shared with all of the beings in the jungle, we're half dead right now. We're zombies without our Krishna. Tell us, where is he? They started a dialogue with Bhudevi, that is the earth. They saw a certain area where the grass was thicker. And they bent down and they were talking to the earth. Why is your grass so green? Why is it so lush here? You are most lucky because our Bhagavan stepped on you as Vamana. Remember, we went through that avatara where with one step, Bhagavan covered the earth. Why are you so healthy? Why are you so beautiful? Is it because he lifted you up when he was a boar? See, these Devis knew that this is not just a little boy. They knew about his past incarnations. They started acting every detail of Bhagavan. One Devi, one Gopi started acting as Putana. And another Gopi came in, became Bhagavan Krishna. One Gopi, she started acting like Kaliya. Another Gopi was on her head, dancing on her head. One Gopi was walking, another Gopi would put her arm around her shoulder and pretend to be Bhagavan Krishna, hugging her and caressing her. And they did their best to track Bhagavan Krishna. At one spot, they saw that the grass was pressed in more. And they were all huddled around. And what they extrapolated, like a detective, that he must have carried this other Gopi on his shoulder. He must have been carrying her, which is why his foot went deeper into the ground. There must have been more weight. they saw another footprint, and only the front part of the footprint was deeper. So they all extrapolated that he must have been trying to get something high, a flower for her. That's why only the front part is deeper and not the back part. And as they did all of this tracking, they eventually found the gopi in the verse I just referenced, whom we now know to be Radha, even though that's not her name, not given. And she was crying. And all of these gopis asked, "How come you're crying?" And she said, "Because I felt I was special. And as soon as I felt that, he disappeared." And it was like a therapy session. They're like, "We know this happened to us just a little while ago." And then all of these gopis went back to the banks of the Yamuna and they started to sing. And what is their song called? The Gopi Gita. Oh.